right? Because if you're up on your homework, you've got everything done, and then one day we check it and you don't, then your homework grade will go from a mastery to a progressing. So it could change down as opposed to only being able to change up. I'm still kind of torn, so we're going to test out some stuff. So stick with me as we try some things. Today we're talking about finding and using percentages. So in your math journal, you should have filled in your table of contents to correspond with wherever you are today. If you went ahead and put a header on tonight's homework, that would have been fantastic. But so we were talking yesterday with those like proportion lines, I guess we can say. So number lines normally continue on. We've been dealing with these proportion lines that show from like 0 to 100%, right? And then we have quantity on top, whatever quantities we're talking about, percentages on bottom. We're going to stick with that pattern. We're not going to use the handout that you have until problem 16. So you can stick it under your math journal or whatever. We don't need that for a few minutes. So, shoot, I should email it to myself. I thought this was interesting. The other day we went, I forget where we were, but we made a purchase. And I looked at the receipt and the tax was broken up. It showed me 5.5% for, I think, state, and then 0.5% for this county, and 0.75% for that county. It showed me that all the different taxes that we were paying. But all tax is a portion of what you end up paying that actually doesn't pay for the clothes. Right? So if I buy a pair of jeans and I pay tax, tax doesn't go to the jeans, tax goes to Uncle Sam, goes to the government. Now, other discounts or percent usages are percentages that take your price down, and then we look at what was the total price. We look at what percent is going to come off of that price, and we subtract it. So, if we look at 14, Marissa is always looking for a great deal while shopping. So she finds a sale rack, all the jeans are 40% off. Will that take the price up or down? Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that we're awake, right? Off, right? We're going to take the price down. We're on sale, that's good. So let's really quickly, in our notes, draw one of these. Draw a portion line. And we're going to try to mark somewhere over half so that we can break up into 60% and 40%, and I'm going to trade places on my screens. I want you guys as a group or with your partners to just really briefly talk about, do you know an easy way to figure out the amount of discount that she'll receive, the amount that she'll save off those jeans? Right now, we're not worrying about tax. There's actually a couple weekends every year where it's tax-free shopping. So right now we're gonna talk about if this is tax-free shopping. If she's gonna pay $65, and then we're gonna take that off and not worry about any tax. Sorry, I need to stop doing this. I just get stuck. Our proportions lines should not have arrows on the ends. The ends should be what percentages? 0 and 100, right? 0% down here and 100% over here. All right, so talk with your partner. How could we figure out that 40% discount? Ignore me right now. I'll tell you about this in a minute. You should be talking with your partner. You can grab a calculator if you want. Anybody have an idea? I can get cards out. I didn't do that quite yet. Yeah? What do you think?
I did, well, the regular price jeans are $65.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, I don't know if there's an easier way, but I did 65 divided by 10.
I love it. Why?
Because those 1640 are things that are multiples of 10. So whatever we get for that can easily be multiplied by either 6 or 4, and we get those.
So Grant says to find 60 or 40%, first find 10%. Because 10% is easy to find. What fraction of a value is 10%? What fraction is 10%?
1/10.
A tenth. Right? So Grant told us we just divide by 10. So everybody jot down on your paper that if we take 65 and divide it by 10, or you could write it vertical, 65 over 10, we're going to get 6.5, and this is 10%. Now, this is technically money, so we should really write it $6.50, since a lot of you will see that as feedback on your masteries, that we need to make sure we have that second decimal place. Even if it's a 0, money has 2 decimal places. So then, Grant, what did you do with the 650?
With the 650, I multiplied it by 6. It's already in a 10th place. And got $39.
This my screen. I should have written smaller or something. So Grant says once I know my 10%, if I come up here, I can multiply by 6 to go to 60%, or we can multiply by 4 to go to 40%. So 650 times 6, break it up. 6 times 6. 36. 6 times a half.
3.
3. So this total should be 39, I believe. Yeah. 6.5 or 6.5 times 4. 6 times 4.
24.
24. 6 or yeah, 6 times another. Sorry, half times 4. 2. 24 and 2. 26. Now there's another way. Please have this process down because I love the 10% method. Finding 10% is the easiest percent to find. I need everybody's eyes once we're done with it. And I need to make sure we're tuned in. So many places that you go do percentages that are multiples of 10. What Grant was just talking about. I can multiply from 10 to get there. 30%, 40, 50, 60, 70. I can multiply by 10 for all of those. So divide by 10 to find your base value, 10%. Work it from there. Now the other way, flip back to page 3, important equations. And this is one of those, it'll always work. It's a rule, it's an equation, it will always, always work. To find a part in a situation, all you need to do is take the percent times the whole. So part equals percent times whole. Now notice the note down here though. It says in rate form. Rate form is the decimal. So if you don't know the decimal form of the percent, we take the percent and divide it by 100. So 60%. 60 divided by 100, 0.60. 40%, 40 divided by 100, 0.40. So if I didn't want to do the base way of 10%, our part here, please jot these. So once you get that formula, flip back to today's notes. Remember, we might be able to use our formula page as a cheat sheet eventually, so you want those on that page. So write down part. If you want to do 60%, 40%, I really don't care. 40, sure. Part equals 0.40 times, what was our whole? 65, right? The whole price is 65. And guys, I encourage you to use calculators. My buddy Dave and I were discussing this. He teaches 5th grade, and pretty much all across the board, like unless there's a situation, even he with 5th graders. I'm like, don't you need to make sure they know their basic math facts? He's like, no, they should know those by the time they get to me. I just tell them to use a calculator. Use a calculator. Make your life easier. 0.4 times 65 will get us the same answer we just had up there of 26 for the discount. Any questions? Now we could also do 60%, 0.60. Multiply and get our, what was it, 40 something, 30 something, 39. Yeah. So whether we use the percentages or the formulas or use the base 10%, we'll get the same answer. Now, if they give you a really awkward percentage, like find 33 or 67 or something really weird, it'd probably be easier to use this way, because if you have an awkward percentage, just plug in the awkward percentage, do the math in the calculator. Questions? All right, let's look at 15. So Kirsten sees a shirt on sale for $37.50 that originally cost $50. Her discount's not the same. Right now, we do have a formula from yesterday that can help in this situation, but there's multiple ways to approach this. I want you and your partner to look at this problem. How can we estimate a percentage? And you can use a calculator and find the exact, if you'd rather do exact as opposed to estimate. And draw the diagram, the portion line. And then we'll talk about the precise and the relationship. So take a couple minutes, try that out. Portion line, we know the whole, the 100%. We know that that's going to be 50. Your group does not have a calculator, somebody should get one. I believe this should be on your important equations page from yesterday. That could be useful here. We've got 2 more minutes. know what that means. I mean, I wouldn't want him to stay here. He needs to be elsewhere. So remember yesterday when we like started cutting things in half? I wonder if that would have any use here. By the way, where this line is, don't trust my art skills, so it might not look right for what the math is trying to show. Can anyone tell me how much she saved? How much money? Francesca? $12.50, right? What we're wondering is how does $12.50 compare with 50? What portion of the price did she save? Is it half off? She saved half the price? Who knows and who, like, that can tell me how? I'm going to start to pull out cards for the last 20 minutes of class for Patrick.
75%.
Is what she saved or what she paid?
Wait, no, it's what she saved.
Which is bigger, the amount she paid or the amount she saved?
Oh, not she saved. Oh, no, not she paid.
The amount she paid is bigger, right? So I agree that 75% belongs in this problem, but that's not the answer, right? Because they're asking us, what did she save? What was her discount, right? What percent is her discount? If you think about the formula from yesterday, guys, I don't want you just existing on like formulas and equations, but this percent equals part divided by whole times 100. That should be on page 3. That should be in your important equations from yesterday. We have a part, the part that she saved. We have a whole. Just put your part over your whole, do the division, multiply by 100, you will get the percentage. So do it right now. Actually, I'm not. Somebody at your group, if you're not using a calculator, you need to look at a calculator, take the part we saved, divide it by the whole amount, and multiply by 100. You get 25% is the amount she saved. So her shirt was 25% off, which means the amount she paid, the percentage she paid is what's left over. How much is left over? 75%. But when it asks, so there's where Patrick got 75. When it asks how much did she save, what percent off, we're always looking at discount amount. So part compared to whole. And that comparison is division. So part divided by whole. Anyone know why I brought up the whole half thing? We want you guys to start to just get more comfortable just thinking about numbers, right? Working with them. Our whole amount is 50, right? That's 100%. What if I cut that in half? How much would the price be then? Or yeah, not even the price is, but the discount or price. What if I cut that in half again?
12.
Hey, there's our 1/4. Half of a half. Her discount amount, $12.50, is just half of the half. We don't even need to like do math if we just think through half. Oh, it's a fourth. 1/4 is 25%. Think about how the numbers work together. So really, if we wanted to talk in fractions, now be careful with how I ask this. What fraction did she pay? Alan, what do you think? What fraction did she pay? So we know what percent she paid, right? What is that as a fraction? So if 25 is a half. Yeah, which reduces then down to, this is 3/4 of the original price. So some places will throw fractions on their signs, but normally they only do it for halves. So, oh, half off everything. That's 50%. Well, 75% we can convert easily to 3/4. Right?
I'm gonna do this in a really weird way. I started out with 50 minus 37 point.
And you found the discount amount. So how much she saved was $12.50.
Yeah, and then I just tried random numbers and found that times 4 equals 50. And I just connected it.
So you did like kind of guess and check method. Yeah, make sure you understand how to systematically get there to save yourself time. All right, grab your resource page then. We've got a bunch of different options here. You guys can kind of dive into whatever you want to first and then go from there. But on the resource page, we've got a ton of different situations that then have verbal or kind of verbal / numerical expressions off to the side here. So we're going to do the first one together so you guys really understand what's going on here. But the biggest thing to look at is how's the line broken up, because that's going to tell you fractions. Then, how do I solve percentages or amounts? Amounts on top, percentages on bottom, that are missing. So, how many sections is this line broken up into? For A. I'm going to use, we got to use cards for some of this, so we'll switch to that. Liam, way back there. How many sections is the line? 10 sections, right? So each section is worth what fraction? A 10, right? So thank you. It's a couple simple questions. But so this section right here is worth what portion? 20, right? Because if each section is a tenth, then each one's 10%. So this has to be, I don't know what happened to my smart ink, but it stopped letting me write on things. Apparently it does not like me anymore. Give me just a second. You guys should be able to figure out what the rest of it is then. If that section's 20%, how big is the bigger section? Guys, what's left over from 20%? Somebody wake up. Thank you, Marvin. 80%. I need to fix my smart board. Please put your percent signs on here so we don't forget that they're the percents. Now, those should be circles, but if you just do dots, I don't have space and my marker's writing too big. So, that doesn't really help us out here. Well, actually, I can answer one of these really quickly, right? Grant talked to us about the whole 10% method. Who that isn't Grant can tell me how we find 10%. Easy way to find 10%. Divide by 10. Take what you got and divide by 10. What's 30 divided by 10? 3. So we know 10% of 30 is 3. Which means 20% of 30. How can we find that? Already talked. Renato, what do you think? How do we find, if we know 10%, how do we find 20%? Well, we could, but now that we have 10%, we can divide to get there, or we can take 10% and multiply up, right? So if 10% is 3, how do I go from 10% to 20%? Yeah, we double, so what's this going to be? 6. Now that goes right here. Now we could do the math of 30 minus 6. We could do the math of part equals percent times whole. There's a lot of different options to find what's left over here, but how much of my situation is left above that 80%? They already told me, actually. 24. They tell me the answer in one of my equations here, but they relate it with, well, what percent do I need to fill in? 80%, because we found that on the portion line or portion graph. So you guys have a good 10 minutes. Try to solve the rest of these, and you can go in a different order if you want. so you don't have to do B next. I'm going to copy them over. We'll go over answers here in just a few minutes. Probably you got like 6, 7, 8, even maybe minutes to work on this. So dive in, work with your partner.
Wait, sorry. Wait, 2%.
The equations on the right should help you. By the way, what operation does of pretty much always indicate? That's per. Multiplication. Of tells us to multiply. Of tells us to multiply. Very disappointing.
Jesus knocked him over. You knocked him over. It was Penelope's fault.
Wasted a pretzel.
You knocked him.
If the line is broken up into 4 sections, then Annika, what is one section worth? Yeah, 25%. If the line is broken up into 5 portions, what is one worth there, Eleanor? 20%. So be careful. These are different from each other. Alright. Sorry, next. No? I think it is. So, Aubrey, in B, what does the 18 relate to? Okay, I know where you're going, but you're ahead of me. The 18, so the 18 stops right here, right? What percent does that relate to? look at the model. Go down to the bottom and see, is there a way to know what percent is the same width? How much? 75, right? So that 18 goes with my 75%, but this has to be the total. And we don't know the total yet. Now, Aubrey, you said 6. Why'd you say 6? And this 18 is only how many pieces? This 18 is 3 pieces, meaning that each piece is 6. So Aubrey finds out that that must be 6 more to go another 25%. What's your total? 24. What's 50% of 24, Penelope? Because we now know what the total is.
It's
12, right? Now, they don't show that explicitly on the model, but we can look at it. And then the other percentage they do show us there, Nathan, what percent should go down here? Percent we haven't talked about yet. We did 75, we did 50.
25?
Yeah, 25% of what's our total?
24?
24 is how much?
6?
Yeah. Any questions on how we write these out? Now, another trick I'll tell you, the of always comes before the total. So if you see of, the next thing we're going to be writing is the total. Because we reference the total. Half of the total. All of the total. None of the total. So now we're working with 20% sections. Miss Lubatsky, what that, give me, I don't care, give me anything. Give me a percentage, give me an amount. Sure, what, something that works with this situation. Like, tell me what and then where to put it. If we know that each section is worth 20, Kate figures out that 3 of them are worth 60, which means, Kate, how much percent is left over? 40 for my other section. Emma, what about the amount that should be above 60%? Do you have it yet? Good. Okay, let's talk about how to find it. Right? One of the ways that we talk about finding these percentages is it a multiple of 10? Well, 60 is a 0. I can start with 10 and get there. Grant told us to get to 10%. We divide by 10. What's 24 divided by 10? So just move that decimal point and we get 2.4. That would be 10%, right? That would be way out here. The 10% would be 2.4. How many times do we need to multiply that to get to 60%? 10 times what gets to 60? 6. So take your 2.4, multiply by 6. Now, another way we could do that, the equation that should be on your cheat sheet now, my percent 0.60 times my whole 24 should get you 14.4. Now, everyone with a calculator to try that equation, but now to find our 40% section. So type in, what's the decimal of 40%? What's the decimal of 40%? It'd be 40 over 100, so 0.4 or 0.40 if you want to say. So in your calculator, type in 0.40, because that's your 40%, times 24. What do you get left? Yeah.
What's stopping us from just doing 24 minus 14?
You could. I'm just making sure we know multiple ways to get these answers. And then it has me filling in whatever I want. So 60% of 24, 40% of 24, we also made the statement, what, 10% of 24 is 2.4. We figured that one out. Any questions on that? Now, even though 2.4 is a decimal, it's still not that bad to work with. Tomorrow, at the beginning of class, we will be checking yesterday's homework. Okay, so please work on tonight's homework and make sure you got yesterday's done. My policy is always 2 business days. I respect that you guys are busy, but you gotta get this work done. You gotta be practicing. Thank you guys very much. Please try to make your books not a state of disaster back there. And I will see you guys later. Yeah, so it's you tell other people. See, this is really good. I've been too possessive about things in the past. Like, we'll just send you like, all of it. And this should be similar to what's in the homework help, but this is easier for you to get to. I like it.
I think it's good. Because I'm doing it anyway for my own, like,
yeah.
I had to run the program, and you don't